Hello YouTube and welcome to another edition of Braddock Media's Toy and Collectible Reviews. On this week's episode, I get to showcase this amazing exclusive Batgirl statue from Sideshow Collectible and Toys. This is the premium format Stan Lau edition. On this week's episode, I'm going to cover over the different sides of the box art. We're going to learn about the history of Barbara Gordon. I'm going to do a breakdown of all the different pieces that this statue comes with, a lot of up-close shots in there. And then right after that, we're going to give a shout out to all the different artists that worked on this. And with our new rotating display, we're going to get some incredible, great 360 video of all the different sides of this statue. So stay tuned and let's check out box art.
Oh.
It's definitely bright and beautiful when it comes to the Batgirl box art this week. Try saying that 3 times fast. The front cover of this has the Stan Lau art. So far we've done the Catwoman as well as the Poison Ivy. They were all very much the same, very showcased on his artwork, which is, why they pay Stan Lau and bring him in to do these statues. He has a massive fan following. If you watch the Catwoman, you can actually learn a little bit more about his backstory and a little history on Stan Lau there. The sides of the box are very simple. I'll kind of show you one. They actually are both the same. So just a little bit of Gotham City down here, as well as the bat symbol and the emblem there. The back is same thing. We had this with the Catwoman, but not the Harley Quinn. Just has Batgirl. Very simple. Gotham City. A little bit more retro, actually, looking than the other 2 statues. They were definitely more the old school style of costume. This costume definitely reminds me more of the TV show that they had with Oracle when she was standing there. It's a really old show. It only, I think, 1 season, so you might not have seen it. But it was fun. It was cute. So yes, box art is very short and sweet when it comes to this week. So now let's go and learn a little bit more about Barbara Gordon and Batgirl. There are so many different versions of Batgirl, but we're just going to focus on the Barbara Gordon storyline on this week's episode because this is a Barbara Gordon version statue. So we do have to start back in 1961, though, without the Barbara Gordon, which was Betty Kane and her mom, Kathy Kane. They were the first original Batgirl and Batwoman. There were rumors, I don't know if this is true, that people thought that Batman and Robin were a gay couple, so they kind of brought those 2 in to partner up and couple up with them to kind of squash those rumors. It wasn't until 1967 that they brought in Barbara Gordon by request from the Adam West TV show Batman. They wanted a female protagonist through the comics to draw people to the show, get that female viewership going in, which of course was really cool that DC actually went ahead with this when it came to the comic books, and they brought her in. So it wasn't the same storyline. It was totally different. It was Barbara Gordon, Commissioner Gordon's daughter. She ends up dressing up in a gender swap Batman for a costume party and ends up seeing Bruce Wayne being kidnapped by Mothman, and goes to his rescue and uses all of her amazing abilities and smarts and fighting skills and saves him. And that's how she becomes Batgirl. And the storyline kind of progresses and goes quite a long ways. They had her crossed over in Superman. There was Nightwing. There was a lot of different, those 2 romances that I can think of off the top of my head, which were kind of interesting. But they never end up giving her own comic book, which was kind of a little bit sad. She had such a big fan following. People loved her. Even the TV show, she almost got her own spin-off, which was pretty great at that time. Unfortunately, the ratings of the last season kind of weren't that great and ended up killing the Batman Adam West TV show, which was really sad in all of its glory. It wasn't until later with they brought her back after she had retired and hung up her cowl. She ended up going into politics, as well as she was a librarian through the whole thing. They kept that part of it. It wasn't until the Killing Joke when the Joker ended up paralyzing her and shooting her to mess up Bruce Wayne and her father, Commissioner Gordon, in that storyline. It created a really big uproar amongst fans and brought a lot of attention to the violence towards women in comic books, and that was something that was really needed. They did, of course, keep her character going. They brought her back in 1989 with the Suicide Squad comics, and they brought her back as Oracle. She was in her wheelchair, really inspiring character, using her brain and her detective skills and her to just help everyone. And yeah, it was really cool. There was a big storyline crossover with the Huntress and Black Canary and their own comic book, which was an amazing series. What happened was they ended up fixing her later on, which was kind of a little bit sad. Before I get into that, actually, I'm jumping ahead of myself. The other quick versions of Batgirl were Helena Bertinelli, not Helena as in Huntress. I think that was Earth 2 or something with when it was Batman and Catwoman's daughter. This was Helena Bertinelli from this version of the comic book story. She wasn't Batgirl for very long. She didn't play by Batman's rules or his ethical code, and he ended up stripping her of her cowl. I'm not going to go into any Huntress stuff because there is a Huntress statue coming in the fall, and of course, I'm so excited to go over that storyline. And then after that, finally, 39 years later, we had Cassandra Cain character. She was a daughter of two assassins and ended up taking up the Batgirl logo. But yeah, 39 years later, she ended up finally getting, Batgirl got her own comic. Of course, it wasn't Barbara Gordon, but it was a really cool one because it was also someone of Asian descent and a massive US comic book at that time and such a powerful character to be Batgirl, and especially donning the cowl in such an amazing way. And she had sensory deprivation as well as some other things from the League of Assassins, and she didn't actually end up speaking. So there was a lot of really, I don't know, a lot of really inspiring things that came out of that character for people and a very diverse fan base. And anyways, she ended up hanging up her cowl and calling herself Black Bat and moved to, I think it was the Japan kind of like version of Batman and worked from there with Batman, which was kind of an interesting version that they did. And then it went on to Stephanie Brown, who was Spoiler originally, and then a female version of Robin. And then she ended up going on to being Batgirl. This one did cross over the Barbara Gordon storyline as Oracle. She did approve of her and took her on as a mentor and trained her, which was really cool. And then eventually she ended up going back to being Spoiler and a new comic line that ended up coming out where it was after I think it was the or Super 57 comic series. I didn't read it, so I don't really actually remember the name on that one. 57 something. Barbara Gordon ends up getting fixed through this surgical procedure, and she becomes Batgirl again. And a lot of fans, of course, when she was Oracle, were like, why can't you fix her? Like, this is such a, advanced universe with all these, like, high-tech gizmos and stuff that Batman has and his genetic researching and all that kind of stuff. But when they did fix her, it really kind of sucked for a lot of people because there isn't a lot of disabled comic book characters to look up to and to kind of and like what we have her and Professor X and some, but not a lot. And so fixing her and saying that she's better is also kind of a little bit offensive because people loved Oracle and they didn't really feel that that was needed per se. Anyways, really cool. That's a little bit of a history about Barbara Gordon and her storyline and Oracle and the way that they kind of crossed in and made that all happen, and a little bit of the different versions of Batgirl in there as well. Now that we've gone over all of those, I'm going to get into the breakdown of this statue, go over all the different pieces, and we will check her out. So I was going to do a lot of video in this breakdown because of our new rotating stand, but it's actually very noisy, and I think I'm going to just stick to doing my kind of traditional photos. And when it comes to shout out after this, we're going to have some really beautiful 360 turning video of all the different angles of the statue. So stay tuned for that. The breakdown will get up to the head shot here. This is the head that comes with both the exclusive and non-exclusive version. So now that we've kind of got there, I'm going to show you both shots of the front as well as the back. It's very flowing. The head has kind of a little bit more of a dynamic effect to it than the exclusive head, which is really nice because with the next piece here, which is the cape, it's all wired through it. You can bend it, you can get so many different like flows, which is also kind of nice when you have the exclusive head, which I'm actually going to swap out right now so I can show you how they kind of pop in and pop off this time. Normally I don't do this, but I think it's just something that's required. So here we go. I'll take that off there. And the really neat thing about this is it just sits on here. It is just a little bit of elastic to the cape. I'll show you here in this picture. And then when you slide the head on, the cowl just kind of like fits right in and right on it and makes it really smooth and streamlined. I really wasn't sure how they were going to do this when I first saw this statue, but it's gorgeous. Of course, fabric and paint don't really blend together as well because they're both two different color tones, but I'm glad they did this over polystone cape any day. I love being able to change up the looks of my statue and make them look a little bit different. So this is the exclusive head. This is the retro curled version, which I don't think I've really ever seen that in any of the Batgirl comic books, but I love this. I think it's super beautiful. It really goes with the whole gold bronze base steampunk kind of feel that they went in with her. I think it's almost like Barbara Gordon meets the Rocketeer. Like, I think it's just so great. And it does, suit with the traditional colors as well, especially when you get into the animated series. So now that you've seen both of the heads, that's what makes it an exclusive. There's no other different parts that come with it that change. I would have loved to have actually seen a hand swap out would have been really great with this without the batarang, and that would have kind of added a little bit more to the exclusive, and that would have been a simple thing for them to have added on. This body is one solid piece from like neckline all the way down to her boots here. I'll give you a front shot of the statue here in this picture. I really like her bat belt. I just love it. I want this costume for cosplaying so bad. It's so beautiful and so gorgeous. I am going to jump back this time, actually, though, to point out one major thing that I love about the faces on here. I'm going to bring them back and actually show you both faces here. The makeup on this statue is just beautifully done. There's an order to them when it came to the 4 that came out of the Stan Lau artwork. I definitely I would say she's my favorite, and then it would be Harley, and then it would go Ivy, and then it would go Catwoman. The Catwoman was not done very well. I don't know why, especially I think she was one of the first ones that came out of the trio of villains. But this one is just so impeccably beautiful. I love the way that her eyeshadowing is done, her lipstick, the bit of sheen and gloss. It's so beautiful. It's delicate. But they just did a really good job, and I find that a lot of times with Sideshow when it comes to women's makeup, you'll see a lot of people removing and getting them repainted just because they're not as well put on, unfortunately. Hate to say that, but it is true. So now going back to the body, I'm going to show you kind of a back shot of the body here. I'm going to take the cape off and actually show you what the back looks like on that. And then we are going to go down and check out this base. This base is really beautiful. Again, very steampunky. Looks like copper. They've got a bit of the green oxidization look when the dry brushing on here, which was really cool. The only thing I would have liked is these little plaques along the front here. I would have actually liked them to have been bat symbols. I think would have just added that one final touch on the statue, which would have made it just flawlessly perfect. She is pretty stable. She has one little peg right here on her feet, like one foot, sorry, the other foot doesn't. But all in all, she's actually quite stable. A lot more than the Harley Quinn was, for sure. Out of the 4, Catwoman was definitely the most sturdy because she had just such a giant base and platform for her so that they could have the cat on there as well. But yes, gorgeous statue. You could not ask for a better version of Batgirl. She's beautiful, she's strong, and she's just stunning. I love the coloring. She really goes in my apartment. Of course, my apartment's very like green and woods, and yeah, that whole steampunk kind of look really just works perfectly in my collection. So yes, now that we've gone over all of those pieces, let's go to the breakdown, or not breakdown, sorry, we're going to go out to the shout-outs, which is going to be a little bit different. I'm not actually going to verbally shout out the names of the artists. I'm going to just have this beautiful 360 view. The artists' names will be on the screen. Let me know in the comments what you think about that, and if you don't, I can always go back and use my beautiful voice and start shouting them out again. Here we go. Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this week's episode of Braddock Media's Toy and Collectible Reviews, don't miss out on any more. Make sure to click that subscribe button below, leave a comment in the comment section, and give a thumbs up. I love hearing from you guys. It's been really inspiring. Keep it up, and I will see you all next week.